Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go, this is Valley News Live at 5.
Moorhead police have some back-to-school bus safety reminders before the kids go back to school tomorrow. They're asking kids to wait for their bus away from traffic and the street. Police say you should stay away from the bus until it comes to a complete stop and the driver signals you to enter. Drivers must stop for all red flashing lights on the bus in both directions unless you're on a divided highway. And it's a chilly Labor Day, and the clouds have seemed to stick around all day too. But what can we expect this evening? Let's check in with our First Alert Storm team, Nathan Hopper.
Yeah, Callie, just as we expected today, cooler temperatures, some showers in the Southern Valley, and even colder air is making its way into the valley as we speak. We can see in our Dakota Magic Casino Skycam, looks like the rain has let up in the Hankinson area from where it was earlier, but still seeing those clouds and that breeze out of the north hanging around there in the Hankinson area. There's those temperatures. We're seeing 50s across the board with upper 40s in the cooler spots this evening. North winds will continue to funnel in some of that cool air for the overnight. You can see those showers in the Southern Valley have really tapered off. In the past couple of hours, you saw some pockets of more moderate rainfall down along the South Dakota, North Dakota state line, but you can notice just clouds now lingering as we head through this Monday evening. We are seeing some clearing in the northern sky, which does mean we have the potential of even colder air coming up overnight tonight. Now, we do have first alert weather days for tomorrow morning and for Wednesday morning because of the potential for frost or a hard freeze in some locations. Now, Callie, I'll explain that in greater detail, looking at timing, temperatures, and of course looking into the rest of the week coming up in a couple minutes.
All right, and thanks so much, Nathan. And the search continues for the driver of a box truck involved in an accident in South Fargo. Officials say they got a call around 6:30 this morning to the 2500 block of 9th Avenue South by the Avalon Event Center. It appears the truck hit a pole and then the driver ran from the scene. No other information is available at this time. And 3 crew members are dead after an air ambulance crash. A new report by the National Transportation Safety Board says a structural failure led to a November 2018 plane crash in Mandan. The report outlines conditions and information of the aircraft, but does not pinpoint the exact cause of the crash. The crash killed pilot Todd Lasky, nurse Bonnie Cook, and paramedic Chris Iverson. They were on their way to Williston to pick up a patient. And the Waseca police officer shot in the head in January has suffered a setback. Last month, Eric Matson had 2 seizures back-to-back. His wife wrote on his Caring Bridge site that seizures are a main side effect of traumatic brain injuries. She said he lost out on some therapy time and will be on anti-seizure medicine for the rest of his life. Matson was shot in the head after responding to a suspicious person call. Tyler Janoski will be sentenced this month after pleading guilty to attempted murder. And officials with the Diocese of Duluth announced this morning Bishop-elect Michelle Malloy has officially resigned after an accusation of sexual abuse of a minor. The Diocese of Rapid City had an accusation of sexual abuse of a minor made against Father Malloy as a priest of that diocese during the 1980s. Malloy was to be ordained and installed as Bishop of Duluth on October 1st. Father Bissonnette will continue to serve as administrator until Pope Francis appoints a new bishop. And the race is on to complete a vaccine for COVID-19, but questions remain as to how the hypothetical vaccine should be given out. As the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is prepping states to distribute vaccines as early as next month. Our Washington News Bureau reporter Peter Zampa speaks with leaders looking for the nuanced approach to reach the most vulnerable communities.
Private companies are giving it their best shot to complete a vaccine in record time. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is telling states to prepare for the next task that could come at the end of October: distribution.
This is about systemic disparities.
Mark Morial, president and CEO of the National Urban League, says COVID-19 is hitting communities of color at a disproportionate rate. His organization released a report showing black people have higher infection rates, hospitalization rates, death rates, and uninsured rates. So Morial concludes there needs to be a focus on this community when a vaccine is available.
Ensure that it's widely available, that vulnerable communities get it on an equitable basis.
Morial tells us he's not even looking for a leg up for communities devastated by the virus, like this one. He says he's just looking for equal access, which historically has not been the case for people of color.
We would, of course, consider prioritizing those who are most at risk, in addition to frontline healthcare workers, food workers, and others.
Another hurdle Commissioner Stephen Hahn sees: suspicion of a vaccine. Polls show 1/3 of Americans will not get the vaccine when it's available.
There's a public advisory committee of scientific experts from around the country to actually look at our decision making. That should provide additional confidence to the American people.
Morial says this is an opportunity to take the first step in righting the wrongs of racial disparities in this country's healthcare system.
Can this be a moment when we say we're going to fix the public health system in America?
There is no exact timeline for when the FDA will approve a vaccine for distribution. In Washington, I'm Peter Zampa.
When Peter spoke to FDA Commissioner Stephen Hahn nearly 3 weeks ago, the commissioner assured there is no political pressure on him to approve a vaccine before the election in hopes of giving President Donald Trump a late boost. The CDC's target for potential distribution is right around the election. And drug makers working to create a coronavirus vaccine report they plan to issue a public statement ensuring the safety of their vaccines. Moderna, Pfizer, and AstraZeneca are already testing their vaccine candidates in phase 3 trials. Many people, including some of the nation's top healthcare experts, have questioned the safety and research backing the vaccines. So far, Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson have committed to releasing the statement that they will not seek government approval until enough data has been collected to ensure the drugs are safe and effective. And let's take a look at the COVID-19 numbers. In Minnesota, the Department of Health is reporting 638 confirmed cases of COVID-19, along with 3 new deaths linked to the illness. In total, over 1,800 deaths have been attributed to the disease, and over 73,000 people are listed as recovered. In North Dakota, there are 171 new cases in the state. The death toll remains at 156, and the active case count is up to 2,565. And as COVID-19 numbers continue to rise in colleges across the valley, officials urge students not to go home in order to stop the spread of COVID-19. Many were curious if students would throw parties, but after talking with those on campus today, we learned that this Labor Day is a pretty quiet one at NDSU.
Just looking at our parking lots, there's like tons of space now. Before, you'd have to walk a mile just to get to your block. I've noticed that a lot of people don't go out in big groups anymore, and nobody really hangs out in study rooms and stuff like that. So I'm sure nobody's doing that today.
A spokesman with UND says there is no way to track how many students stayed in Grand Forks this holiday weekend. They say they haven't heard of any issues related to parties and large gatherings on campus. And we'd like to remind you of a COVID-19 testing event that will be happening tomorrow at UND's High Performance Center in Grand Forks. It will be from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's open to the public. Anyone ages 5 and up can participate, but you do not have to register before you attend. You can find the link to do that on our website at valleynewslive.com. And Joe Biden is back in the critical battleground state of Pennsylvania with in-person campaigning on this Labor Day. The first stop of the day, Lancaster, for a backyard roundtable discussion with local union members who are also military veterans. Biden's trip to Pennsylvania, an opportunity to focus on the state's workforce and issues facing working families. During the discussion, Biden says the key to creating jobs is to invest in infrastructure.
The fact is that, we're in a position where we can fundamentally grow this country just by no other reason, just investing in infrastructure.
Biden also travels to Harrisburg, where he plans to meet with the president of the AFL-CIO and hold a virtual question-and-answer session with union members. And Senator Kamala Harris was in Wisconsin for Labor Day, her first visit to the battleground state since becoming a candidate. The vice presidential candidate toured the Electrical Workers Union training facility in Milwaukee. She met with instructors who talked about what they teach and what they use. At one point on the tour, candidate Harris was asked about her conversation with the family of Jacob Blake, the black man shot 7 times in the back and left paralyzed by a Kenosha police officer.
Really wonderful. I mean, they're an incredible family, and what they've endured, and they just do it with such dignity and grace. And, you know, they're carrying the weight of a lot of voices on their shoulders.
Senator Harris attended a Build Black Better roundtable with Black business owners in Milwaukee following the tour. And still ahead tonight, thousands of people die every year in crashes involving large trucks and semis. One group's push for technology may be able to prevent some of those accidents.
And if you're stepping out in Fargo tonight, have that jacket handy. Cooling into the 40s with that north breeze. The clouds look to hang around for us this evening. Sunset at 7:54 p.m. in Fargo. Sunset 7:56 for our friends in Grand Forks. Cooling to around 40 degrees by 1 a.m. We'll have your forecast next.